Hello, Matujima, and you're watching HornbillTV. Can changing a name on a map change who owns the land? No. But when two countries have a long-running border dispute, even the place name can become a political statement. India has standardized the names of 27 locations and geographical features in Arunachal Pradesh on its official survey of India map, with the development formally announced on August 7. The move comes amid China's repeated attempts to assign its own names to places in Arunachal Pradesh. So why are places' names becoming part of this larger India-China dispute? And what does India's latest move actually mean? Let's break it down. First, what has India done? India has officially identified and standardized the names of 27 locations and geographical features in Arunachal Pradesh on an updated survey of India map. The exercise was carried out in consultation with the Arunachal Pradesh government. The 27 include 21 land locations, 4 mountain passes, Shampo Soravar and the Sir-e-Thapa Memorial. The important point here is this: India is not simply announcing 27 new names as a direct replacement for China's 27 names. It is officially recording these locations under India's own standard geographical names. And that matters because official maps are part of how governments document and administer their territory. Why is this happening now? Because China has repeatedly attempted to assign Chinese names to locations in Arunachal Pradesh. China claims the entire Indian state, referring to it as a Jiangnan or South Tibet. India rejects China's claim and maintains that Arunachal Pradesh is an integral part of India. So this is much bigger than a disagreement over what to call a mountain or a village. It is a part of a much larger dispute over territory and sovereignty along the India-China border. So what has China been doing? China has announced its own names for locations in Arunachal Pradesh on several occasions. The latest major exercise came in May 2025 when China announced Chinese names for 27 locations. That list included 15 mountains, 4 mountain passes, 2 rivers, 1 lake and 5 inhabited areas. India rejected the move. The Ministry of External Affairs said China's attempts to assign names to places in Arunachal Pradesh would not change the fact that the state is an integral part of India. And this was not China's first attempt. Similar naming exercises were carried out in 2017, 2021 and 2023. But can a country just rename a place? A country can certainly use its own official names for geographical features, but simply giving a place a new name does not by itself establish sovereignty over the territory. Think of it this way: two countries can use different names for the same geographical feature. Changing the name does not physically move the mountain, change the border or settle a territorial dispute. Actual territorial questions involve much more, including historical claims, boundary agreements, administration and the position maintained by the countries involved. So China's naming exercise do not automatically give China control over those places. And India's standardization of names does not by itself settle the border dispute either. Then why do these names matter? Because maps are not only about geography. They can also communicate a government's official position. When a government repeatedly publishes its own names for disputed locations, it is reinforcing its narrative about that territory. And when India officially records locations in Arunachal Pradesh on its own maps, it is reinforcing its own administrative and cartographic position. So the issue is not simply what should this place be called. It is also which country's official records recognize this place and as part of what territory. That is why the latest move is being viewed as a part of a broader cartographic contest between India and China. So is India's list the same as China's list? Not necessarily. And this distinction is important. China announced 27 names in 2025 covering mountains, passes, rivers, a lake and inhabited areas. India's latest exercise involves 27 locations and features that have been standardized on the survey of India map. So this is not simply a case of China names 27 places, India gives those exact same 27 places different names. The two exercises are separate. India is putting its own official geographical nomenclature on record. So where does the McMahon line come in? To understand the larger dispute, we need to go back more than a century. The eastern sector of the India-China boundary is associated with the McMahon Line, which emerged from the 1914 Simla Convention involving British India, Tibet and China. India recognizes the McMahon Line as the basis of its boundary in the eastern sector. China does not accept it. That disagreement remains one of the major issues behind the India-China border dispute. But it is important to remember, India's current exercise to standardize 27 names is not itself a new border agreement or a settlement of the McMahon Line dispute. It is primarily an exercise in official mapping and geographical nomenclature. So why is Arunachal Pradesh so important? Arunachal Pradesh is India's northeasternmost state. It shares a long and strategically important boundary with China. Its geography includes high mountains, valleys, passes and remote border settlements that makes the region strategically significant for both countries. Infrastructure and administrative presence are also important in such areas. So when either country publishes maps, develops infrastructure or officially records geographical features in this region, it can carry significance beyond ordinary administration. So has this created a new border confrontation? No. India standardizing these names is not the same as a new military confrontation. The larger Indo-China border dispute remains unresolved, but the naming issue is primarily a diplomatic, administrative and cartographic matter. India has repeatedly rejected China's naming exercises. In April 2026, the Ministry of External Affairs again rejected China's attempts to assign what it described as a fictitious name to places forming part of Indian territory. India reiterated that Arunachal Pradesh is an integral part of India. So what does India's latest move actually mean? At one level, it is simple. India is officially standardizing how 27 locations in Arunachal Pradesh are recorded on its own maps. But there is a larger message behind it. China is using its official nomenclature to reinforce its territorial claim. India is using its own official maps and names to reinforce its position that Arunachal Pradesh is Indian territory. Neither exercise by itself settles the sovereignty question, but both show how maps, names and official records have become part of the larger India-China territorial contest. India and China have had a complicated relationship for decades. The two countries fought a war in 1962 over their disputed boundary. Since then, there have been negotiations, agreements and periods of improved relations. But the boundary dispute has remained unresolved. The line of actual control or LAC remains disputed in several areas. Arunachal Pradesh is particularly sensitive because China continues to claim the region while India exercises administration over it. That is why even something that appears as simple as a place name can attract national and international attention. China giving a place Chinese name does not automatically make the territory Chinese. And India putting an Indian name on its official map does not by itself settle the border dispute. But names can still carry political weight. They become part of official maps. They enter government records. They shape how territory is presented and recognized by each country. So this story isn't really about 27 names. It is about a much bigger question. Who gets to define the geography of a disputed border? And for India, the answer is clear. Arunachal Pradesh is Indian territory and India's official maps will continue to reflect the position. That's all we have for now. Keep watching Hornbill TV.